Hello my friends, how you doing out in YouTube land? Say, I've gotten quite a response from guitar players. I've played all my life since I was about 12 and love to play different kinds of rock music. I play the electric guitar mostly, but I do play the acoustic too, and they're two different instruments almost. You play a different style on the electric guitar, generally speaking, than you do on the acoustic. And if you play the guitar, you know what I'm talking about. Strumming and fanning the guitar and stuff like that. There's different techniques used on both instruments. On an acoustic, you try to play all 6 strings more vigorously because it doesn't have the volume and sustain that an electric has. An electric guitar's neck is smaller too. It's a finer neck. Generally speaking, you can get a little more speed out of it. And then with the electric, you can plug it into an amplifier so that you have effects. And some of us use a little buzz box or fuzz box along with our amplifiers. You probably saw the electric guitar I was playing. That's a Peavey Raptor, and it's similar in shape and size to a Fender Stratocaster. The body's a little more round than the Stratocaster is, and the reason I got the Peavey Raptor was because I also have a Peavey guitar amplifier. It's a Bandit 112 with a Sheffield 12-inch speaker in it. The Bandit amp has just tons of features on it, electronic stuff. Really pretty much everything you could possibly think of. And I used it playing in half a dozen different bands over the years. I've had different equipment over the years, but about the last 15 or 20 I've stayed with the Peavey product. I've read about Harlan Peavey, the fellow that started the Peavey company, and I liked his story, and I believed in his philosophy and the way that he said he built his company. I thought I was buying into the Harlan Peavey legend when I bought my guitar and my amp, so that's why I really like it. I've had 0 problems with my Peavey Raptor, even though it is considered to be a low-end guitar. It plays real well, and the electronics have never let me down. I got the Peavey amp because I knew other guys that that had experience with Peavey equipment, and I'd rarely seen any Peavey equipment break down or malfunction. I knew some guys in different bands that they used Peavey amps, and they always had nothing to say but good about them. Real good products, lots of volume, lots of power, dependable. So anyway, that's what I use is a Peavey guitar and a Peavey amp. I just have an inexpensive fuzz box that I try to get a little bit more distortion and sustain out of it. I'd love to play stuff by Jimi Hendrix, ZZ Top, Led Zeppelin, of course, and other kind of heavy metal type of bands. I like AC/DC's just outstanding. Scorpions. You can probably name more heavy metal bands than I can. I really kind of tended to like the classic rock. Johnny Winters is one of my favorite guitarists. Sammy Hagar, Eddie Van Halen. You know, I'm naming all the immortals, you know. Eric Clapton. And then I'd love to listen to Boston and those kind of bands. They're clean studio sound, really great. I'm a huge fan of the Allman Brothers, Leonard Skinner. So I think that just that much telling you about those bands that I really like, you probably can tell which other kind of music I like too. As far as the acoustical music and the guitar goes, I like some easy listening music. I like the Mamas and Papas and the Beatles, of course, the Rolling Stones, the Who, but they're not an acoustic band, but all the British bands pretty much. I grew up in the age of the British invasion. So anyway, a lot of you have expressed interest in the guitar, and I just thought I'd do a quick guitar video. Over the years, I invested in equipment, but I also invested in learning tools, and I found that DVDs and videotapes could be a huge help to me trying to figure out licks and different runs up and down the neck and explaining. And the nice thing about the DVDs are that the teacher doesn't get tired, you know, or get frustrated because you're not coming along very fast. I could learn some things quickly, and then I'd really labor over other simple concepts that just for some reason they escape me or not. This DVD is a Guitar World DVD, and this one focuses on the lead guitar, and it covers it's 3 hours long, and it covers everything you can imagine. I mean, the blues to the rock to understanding the fretboard, the difference between musical notation and tablature. I don't know, I hope you're aware of it. If you're a guitar player, you know the difference. Musical notation is like the old style musical notes that they put on the staff that they teach in college. And tablature is where they show the strings on the neck of the guitar or the bass, and there's a number that indicates which fret you put your finger on. A lot of guys read tablature nowadays and say in the last 15 or 20 years, instead of learning the old style reading music the way Beethoven and Tchaikovsky wrote it note for note. I played by ear most of my life, and I tried to learn on my own. I just couldn't quite grasp the reading of regular music, like piano music and that. But when I was 50, I made another attempt at it, and I actually did pick up on it. I don't know what changed, but I started to understand the notation and the scale degrees, and you know which one was which, how many flats and sharps there are, and all that. I guess part of it was because I look at the piano, and if you want to understand music, the piano is the best example of how music is structured. It's all laid out right in front of you, the white keys and the black keys. The black keys are the flats and the sharps. The white keys are the whole notes. And it's all laid out in a pattern, so you really can't miss it. Sometimes you can look at it and it's not registering in your conscious mind, but in the back of your mind and your subconscious, piece by piece, you slowly start to get it. You know, you can look at a flat and a sharp as almost the same thing. They're either one half step below or above a whole note. So anyway, I won't tell you so much about the structure of music. That's something that if you buy one of these DVDs, which I checked before I made this video right now, and I looked on eBay, and there's 265 different offers for these type of videos. A lot of them are about $20 a pop for a 3-hour lesson. But if you're taking lessons from a teacher, I'll bet you anything you're paying more than $20 per lesson to have somebody show you some of this stuff. This is one of my DVDs. I think I've got 7 or 8 others. How to play Jimi Hendrix exactly like Hendrix. How to play Led Zeppelin exactly like Jimmy Page. How to play the blues. How to play country western. I got a whole selection of these. And I've learned so much. Even if I got on there and only learned a few chops at a time. Learned about the major and minor 3 and what you can do. Why when you bend a note up, it sounds so good. Well, the reason is because you're taking a minor note and you're bending it up to its major tone, and that's why it rings so pretty. All the mystery is taken out of it, and it's explained in such a way that it really comes across. And if you don't get it, you can just play the section over. And some sections I've listened to them 10 times to make sure I got it. Another thing that I did was I got VHS. This particular VHS specializes in how to learn the style of Randy Rhoads. He's a big hero of mine. He is kind of beyond my abilities, so I never worked too hard on Randy Rhoads because he is just so darn good that it's hard to reach that high and make it. This particular DVD features Crazy Train. And Crazy Train is one of the legendary rock guitar songs of all time. I mean, it's one for the ages. You got to be pretty darn good to even learn how to play Crazy Train. And some of you know how, and my hat's off to you if you can. I always was primarily a blues guitar player, and I played using mostly the pentatonic scale. And those were the 2 major ingredients of what I did. And then later in life, I started putting in some major notes into my pentatonic scale. And that added a big dimension to the sound, as I'm sure that you know. So I just wanted to let you know and encourage all you guitar players out there that you can improve your knowledge and your skill, because I was 50, in my early 50s when I finally learned how to read music. And now I can read music and understand it and look at notation, and I got it, you know. I got the scale degrees memorized, and I associated them with other aspects of the guitar playing. And it has really helped me immensely. And I try to use it and think about it when I'm playing. One of the keys I took away was triplets. And the idea of triplets are 3 fast notes played one after the other. Some of you guys know all about triplets, but it added a lot to my game too. Bending the notes up to your major 3 and triplets added a huge dimension to my repertoire as far as playing the guitar and my blues playing. The blues is really my specialty and my love. So anyway, I wanted to tell you about it. I'd like to encourage you all. If I can do it, you can do it. If I can learn in my early 50s, you can do it. So I urge you to go out. Maybe you want to buy a DVD. Maybe you want to buy a book or anything. Anything. If you could spend half an hour a day looking at something fresh to get your mind stimulated a little bit in the learning mode, you can improve your game. I know you can. If I can, I'll tell you something else for sure. If I can do it, you can do it. And that's no doubt about it. Hey, we'll see you next time when you come by to see your old buddy Lee, all right? Peace.